Hello, everyone, and welcome to session 2 of the Bookkeepers Growth Summit. In just a second, I'll go through what we're going to be talking about in the next 40 odd minutes. But I just want to, for those who missed session 1 just before, we'll send out a recording of that. So the first session was about planning, and that was with Laura Alcaslassi of Profit First Professionals Australia. So today's summit is all about this leads to loyalty framework that we've created at Bizink. So I will jump to it here because I just want to talk about this really quickly. So it's a proven framework for growing a bookkeeping firm. And that's what I think it's going to save you time if you follow what's already proven to be working. So it's also all the ways that we help at Bizink because we specialize in marketing for accountants and bookkeepers and advisors. And we're actually shifting we help a bunch of bookkeepers at the moment, but we're shifting our focus to focus a bit more too. So hence this summit today, we've worked with a few bookkeepers in particular, and I've got a few tips from them that I'm going to share today as well. So we're up to the attract stage. So I'll just jump back a few steps. I skipped forward. Today's about attracting your perfect match and getting found online as well. So in session 1, we talked about planning. So where you want to take your business, where you want it to go in 2023. And that then flows through into your marketing plan, because once you know who you're going after and where you want to go, you'll be able to sort of backfill a marketing plan from that. I always say, and I truly believe, that your marketing plan will start to fall into place once you work out who you're going after. You'll be able to know where to go to find them, and all those sorts of things we'll be going through today. So get step 1 sorted. You can go watch that recording afterwards, and then the rest of this will start to make sense. So I'm going to be presenting this session. We've got other sessions today with our wonderful partners like Ignition, Profit First Professionals, Pure Bookkeeping, and Sharon Francisco as well. So a huge thanks to them for jumping along to this summit today. So we'll get into it. Today's agenda is to look at attracting people online. There's a lot of marketing nuts and bolts. There's a lot to figure out when you start implementing a marketing plan. So today, I'm going to go over some simple SEO tips that you can use straight away. I'm going to be talking about how to create a good first impression online and how you can put yourself out there and get new business as well. So just a quick little bit of housekeeping. This session is being recorded, like I mentioned. In case you miss anything, feel free to go back afterwards and, play and pause as you need and make notes and all that stuff. Also, I really encourage you to use the webinar chat panel today. So feel free to jump on and say hello now and get yourself used to it. If you weren't on the session earlier, send through a chat or a Q&A as we go. I've got that open. So if there's something that comes up along the way, I'll be happy to stop and answer it. Otherwise, there is a dedicated time at the end, as with all our sessions today. And Diane's also here to paste some useful links and resources as we go too. So keep an eye on that too. The first one we'll paste in right away is our marketing scorecard. So if you didn't fill this in already, I suggest having a look at it. It'll give you a quick little assessment on how your marketing is currently doing. And again, it's based on the same framework that we're talking through. So a couple of minutes answering some quick questions about all these different stages, and we'll give you some feedback, but not just feedback. We have heaps of resources off the back of it as well. So I am obviously biased, but I think it's really valuable too. So feel free to do that after the session as well. So let's get into this attraction. I just want to sort of define what I mean by attraction. So in a marketing sense, it means to, well, I guess the actual definition is to like evoke interest and to create some sort of appeal, right? So I just want to bring this to marketing and marketing your business. So I want to ask you all, and feel free to type into the chat, how does your business do that right now? How are you evoking interest, creating appeal within your target market, your ideal clients? What sort of messages are you putting out there to do that and to pique their interest? What sort of brand do you have? That's a big part of this. We're talking about initial impressions here. What first impressions do you make? Do you know how people first feel when they visit your website or meet you in person? All these sorts of things contribute to this. So, and even what resources do you offer? Because that can be part of this first impression too. So attraction is all about getting people to know you. It's that first meeting. It's where complete strangers become aware of you. So you need to try and capture their attention, and you need to get them aware of your brand and aware of who you are. I'm sure you've all heard that like people when they first click on a website, they only stay there for a couple of seconds. They're sort of making up their mind quickly, particularly if we're like, I know I do it, like I right click open tab about 4 different websites if I'm looking for something in particular, and I'm quickly closing 3 to find the right one. So I've just got a Q&A come here. Oh, chat is disabled. All right, we'll see if we can enable that. Sorry, it's perfect. Should be fixed now, but type in the chat just to let me know. So I've asked the question about what is your business doing to evoke interest, to do that first attraction, and John's given some answers here about his website, office signs, friendly approach, right colors, all these sorts of things help contribute to that as well. So that's great. Thank you for that, John. We're going to be talking about specifically online marketing as well. So we'll get into this as well. I also wanted to pause and talk about what attraction is not. So, we've just spoken about what I sort of define it as and what we'll be talking about today. But the biggest problem, one of the biggest problems I see with the bookkeepers marketing is people tend to jump the gun and go a bit too early. It's not trying to sell. That's not what this stage is about. And even sometimes it's not even about getting an initial meeting or any of those sorts of conversations yet either, because it's a bit like a marriage proposal on a first date or first meeting even sort of thing. We're talking about the very first sort of stage. Like we got the planning and now we're like actually starting to talk to or generate interest with the ideal prospect. Maybe the next stage is probably talking to them or later actually. So really often people refer to this as a funnel. So, we think of people coming in the funnel, getting aware of you, and then you keep chatting to them until or sending them resources. It might not be a verbal chat. It could be emails and that sort of stuff. And then they get to a meeting, then they become a client, then you keep them. That's really the leads to loyalty framework in a nutshell as well. So this stage is not about selling. We're not up to that just yet. So there's lots to think about here. Let's get into, sorry, my slides. How can you attract ideal clients? So when you think about all the potential marketing things that you could do, probably feels like there's a million possibilities, right? Like Ryan Lazanis and I he's from Future Firm, we presented on this topic at XeroCon New Orleans, and we were sort of mapping this out, like all the possibilities that you could think of. And I mean, marketing full stop, even just marketing for a bookkeeping firm, it's hard to know where to start from, Facebook ads, Google ads, email, networking, like there's a lot of possibilities. And I just want to make the point that many of these tactics will work. It's just more about how you do them and if it's suitable for your firm and your market. So I know that's probably not the answer you're looking for today. I know plenty of people, we tend to look for the easy way or some quick wins, and there are today, but there's many things that do work in terms of marketing. It's more just about figuring out the ones that work for you, and that might be a little bit of trial and error. It might take some time to hone that over a few years as well. But I am going to call out a few tactics today. It is going to be a very practical session. So there's a few I want to focus on. I have just split this session into 2 parts though. So the first part is about getting found online. And maybe this is the easier part, like it's about putting something out there and then people coming to find you. But there's also about getting out and getting found yourself as well. So we'll start with this. And the first one is a website. It's 2022, so it's probably pretty obvious to most of you that a website is an essential. Feel free to let me know if you currently don't have a website and need a hand with that, or if you're not happy with your current website. I'm more than happy to chat with you. I think that, well, we know research shows that most people, even those who have been referred to you, I know most accountants, I know all the stats out there show that most accountants and bookkeepers grow through referrals. Even those who have been referred to you though, those business owners will still check out your website. So even if the initial source of that new business and lead was referral, doesn't mean that your website doesn't play a part in that. And we often say that it seals the deal with that referral. So it's very important to A, have a website, B, have a good one, and C, have one that is your voice and speaks your brand and all those other things that we need to think about as well. But I just wanted to highlight a few things that your website can do that's really important part of your marketing and the initial attraction stage that we're talking about here. Firstly, it tells the world like what you do. It tells them who you work with and how you help. So this can be your messaging. It also helps confirm your reputation, which, like I've just said about referrals, I think this is a big part of what you do, and maybe an important first step in getting a website is simply just to confirm we are professional and we have a presence and all that sort of stuff. That can be a reason for getting a first website for sure as well. It can also attract new leads and generate inquiries. Depends how you use it and all these sorts of things, but it can be a source of attracting new business through various tools like forms and ebooks and all sorts of different things as well. So it's like a hub for your marketing as well. It can also be like an educational resource for your audience. That can be both clients and prospects can be going there to get various sorts of resources too. It can also be a sales tool. It's a big way of how we use ours at Bizink, is like we put our pricing on there and that sort of stuff. It's used by, myself just as much as any of the other team as well. So it can be used by your team members in various ways. But as a result, there's a few things that you need on your site in order for it to do these things. So I've just shown you some things it can do. I'm just going to go through what you might need to have on your site in order to do those things. So if you want to attract leads through your site, even if you're doing other marketing to get them to your site, you need to make sure you know who your website is for. And we were hinting at this in session 1 today in the planning session about ideal client. And earlier in this session, I've mentioned it as well. It's really important to know who your business is for, who your services are for, in order to have a website that speaks clearly to people and can have a strong messaging. Otherwise, you're just going to be trying to market to everyone as casting your net wide, but you might not necessarily get anyone because you can't have a strong appeal. So just think about that first and foremost. Obviously, you need to have your branding and your messaging and your positioning sorted as well. Maybe sorted isn't the right word, but you do need to have that thought out, because often, like even when you think about website design, it's going to pull from your branding as well. So now I'm not saying this has to be perfect. Is anyone's perfect? All brands evolve over time too. So you just need to have some, at least some time investment into that as well. I'd also, if you want it to attract new leads, like we were talking about, I'd also put this as an essential that you need a lead magnet. That's usually some sort of downloadable asset. So the common example is an ebook, something on your site that you give away for free in exchange for their contact details. So there's an exchange of value here, right? They get something useful and, a good resource for them. That's the key. It needs to be useful enough in order for them to give you their contact details. And obviously the benefit for you is getting contact details of hopefully a business in your ideal market, and also, their opt-in, so you're able to contact them, and also what they're interested in if they download the ebook on, cash flow for construction businesses or whatever it might be. If you don't have one of those, and I've looked at many accounting websites, as has Diane, who does our website audits, I'd say this is probably the number one thing that's missing on most accounting and bookkeeping websites. Sorry, I'm grouping them all together today. So I'd highly recommend that you look into one of these. We do a bunch of these at Bizink that you can get quite quick and easy, or we can look into something really custom, because like I've said, if you do know who your website's for, who your business is for, then your downloadable asset should line up with that too. Another thing is it really should have a clear call to action. So this can be a little bit of marketing jargon, but it's, thinking about what you want people to do. Now, the end goal is to get them to sign up as a client, and maybe to do that they need to book an initial consultation or whatever you call that, coffee catch up or whatever it might be. But at this stage it might be too early for that, or it probably is. Like I'm saying, we're not at the selling point yet. So think about what other resources you might have, what other things you might want them to do, sign up for, register for, download, all those sorts of things, and just have a think about what the experience is when they visit your website. Also think about your team page. or if you're just on your own and about page, we find this is the second most popular page for most bookkeeping websites after the homepage, obviously. And again, I think it goes back to that same referrals thing that most people will check you out before they start to contact you. So make sure you have that sorted. And there's heaps of ways to inject personality into a page like that as well. I'm going to keep moving because I'm conscious of time, but I do have examples of interesting ones. If you'd like to reach out to me about that, I can send you some more examples. It can really help. Like I said, the second most popular page, so it pays to invest in it. So I said I'm going to give you a few SEO tips today as well. So I mentioned website, and now I'm going to talk about SEO, which is, we don't have time for a deep dive on SEO today, but it stands for search engine optimization. So the process of trying to get your website to rank higher in Google for a certain search phrase or keyword. That's what people type into Google. So I know that local search can lead to a bunch of work for bookkeepers from what I'm hearing. I'm running a focus group with a couple at the moment. So really you should make sure that you have a good Google business listing, because Google obviously prioritizes this. It has a whole section on the right-hand side for it. We have some more resources if you need more information on it. But just really quickly, a good Google business listing should have, this is an obvious one, but accurate details. Please double check it, because Google will check your website matches as well. I would also suggest you should have like a booking link so they could book a meeting with you. If you do that sort of stuff, highly recommend it. You can get started for free on Calendly, I believe. Your business hours, a nice cover photo. Again, that's a good way to showcase your personality and who you work with as well. I would say at least five-star reviews. Positive reviews on there is really a good way to convince people to work with you and get other people to convince people on your behalf, I guess, and also a link to your website. So that's just a real quick run through. Diane's going to paste a link to our Google Business Audit, so we can take a look at your site and your Google Business page and see what you do and don't have there. So feel free to grab that as a step one here. Another thing I would suggest is that you have a SEO landing page or a keyword, a page on your website that's optimized for a certain keyword. So probably a bit of jargon there, but what I mean is, I got a screenshot on screen here. Don't know, bookkeepers Michigan, might be the keyword in question here. So we want to create a page on the site that mentions that a few times, but always build for a human over a robot. You can't trick Google into just ranking you highly because you put Bookkeepers Michigan 50 times on the page. It's not about that. So it's still got to be a useful page that's relevant, but you can store this, in the footer, and then the idea is to try and get this page ranking. So I'd still have all your contact details on there, useful information about your services, maybe a welcome video, that sort of thing. But this would be maybe the first place they land once they Google that keyword. We have more resources on this, a complete guide to SEO. Feel free to reach out again if you have any questions on that. But the last thing I'm going to suggest is around SEO is writing a blog that answers a question, basically. And this is actually a really good and probably underused SEO tactic. So I would be thinking about and researching questions that your ideal clients are Googling for. So chat to your clients and ask, well, you probably know questions that they ask you time and time again, note them down, maybe ask what they sort of Google, and you can research. There's various tools out there to see what's trending and whatnot. And then all you need to do is write a blog with the answer. Doesn't have to be a whole blog, but that's just, one way to start. Could be an FAQs section or a resources section like this screenshot. Another thing you could do to step this up is to do some videos. Like this client on screen here is, they record, they've got proper videographers and things. I'll have a few recommendations for you in a sec, but if you do something like this where you explain the answer to the question, the hard part is probably trying to keep the video short when you guys know so much on the topic. So do try and keep it short. Explaining it in your real voice and language will just give them insight into you. And we know that people work with people. So it also gives them something to share. So they now have a video they can share with, their mate that was asking that same question or whatever. People nowadays do tend to prefer to receive information in this way too. So maybe as opposed to a longer blog article, if it is a topic that needs a bit of time. And I would also say that I just really encourage you to do this. I know it can be daunting, but it doesn't have to be some fully professional polished thing like this example on screen. People, probably existing clients, will probably respond quite well to your you know, your normal natural self just talking to your webcam like I am here. This is plenty good enough. So if you want to do a video like that, I recommend like Loom. I think it's loom.com for videos is quite good, and you can embed them into plenty of places as well. So I know that's not for everyone, but I really encourage you to try, because I mean, we know that half social media at the moment is videos and all that sort of stuff too. People do engage with it quite a lot. So. And now the last part of this first section is like getting found online is about social media. So obviously your social media profile is a big part of this, and it allows you to build like authentic relationships with your clients, particularly like if you're virtual. We all know that it helps us keep in touch with our friends and ones that are across the world and all that sort of stuff. So it can also play a role in like expanding awareness about your practice and that initial attraction that we're talking about, and engaging with target clients, of course, as well. So I'm going to talk about 3 or 4 different things. So first is stories. I see that just probably too many businesses focus on themselves on social media, when people really want to know how you could help them. It might not be the best way to think of it, but think of them as selfish in a way. Like what's in it for them, though? I guess they're just time poor is maybe the better way to think of it. They don't have a heap of time. They're scrolling through, like I said, how many tabs do they have open, and they want to close a few. So you might be tempted just to fill in the blanks, I guess, with your list of credentials, but that proves you have knowledge, sure, but clients don't really want to know so much about that. What they really want to know about is how you can help them. So instead of writing about like where you went to school and got your degree and that sort of stuff, write about how you've helped real clients. So that could be even better to do show, don't tell, like I was taught in English. You know, we helped our client Sarah save 3 hours a week on payroll last year by moving her cafe to the cloud and blah, 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 fill in the blanks or whatever you did for her. Obviously, that a sentence like that would tell people browsing that you specialize in payroll, and that you specialize in cafes, and that you helped her with XYZ. So it's also unique to your firm because no one else is going to have that story with that client. So it's not going to be like cookie cutter text that another bookkeeping firm has, say. So that's my point about stories, is use real client stories to do that. So ask for testimonials and case studies. We've got heaps of resources on this too, but if you do need a hand, we do have service offerings where we can interview your clients and get these sort of things for you as well, which is just absolute gold. It helps in your marketing and positioning as well. We use them at Bizink. There's heaps of resources on this that we can share with you as well. And the second part of this is personality. So, you know, inject some personality into your profile. When we're thinking about a website, I mean, there's only certain places you can like sort of inject your personality, right? So social media is another great way to do this too. Your team page, your about page of your website, other perfect ways to do this. So, you know, if you have good sense of humor, or if you have a certain way of speaking or anything like that, record a video, share it like here. You know, if you're into cycling, post photos of that. If you have a team lunch, post, you know, share some photos of that and what you're doing. Or I tend to hear and see from the stats that those sorts of things, like the social side of social media, gets more engagement. So lean right into that. And it's because I think people tend to engage with like people they know. So, you know, they know you, they know your team, you're going to get more engagement that way. Often it can be good just to focus on your clients here, and they might do the work for you in sharing it. And then the third part is photos. I've hinted at this already, but people work with people, not companies, right? So they want to see, you know, the real humans behind the bookkeeping firm. So use nice photos, invest in professional photos. It can help you feel $1 million rather than using photos of calculators and, you know, stock photos. A photo of your local area might be a good start. Even better might be a photo of you with your clients and your team and that sort of stuff. So try to avoid stock imagery on your social profile if you can. And obviously, once you've got those things set up, once your profile's there, it's about posting regularly. So keep your pages up to date, set up a schedule to do that and to keep yourself on track. And if you need a hand with content, feel free to reach out to us. We have a full guide on setting up a standout social media profile that we'll send to you as well. So that's just a quick overview of our suggestions there. The next part is about finding others. So that was really about getting found online. So you put up your website and you wait for someone to find you, basically, or SEO, you put stuff out there and people click on the FAQ, that sort of stuff. This is about being a bit more proactive. And it could be argued that it's the harder step, but it's really probably the step that a lot of people need to think about if they're looking at marketing for their firm. So let's get into it. The first one is about networking. I've been to plenty of networking events for Bizink, but I thought it would be best to get tips from a real bookkeeper in practice who's grown her business through networking. So I'm just going to share what she's told me. Jen has grown her business quite a lot through networking, particularly BNI, which is what her tips today are about. Just keep that in mind as well. So I asked her what her tips were for bookkeepers attending their very first networking event. And she said, just remember that you're there to farm, not hunt. Don't pass out business cards like candy, and make sure you show interest in others. Don't spend the whole time talking about yourself, and think about it as a long game, a long-term relationship building exercise. It's not short-term. So I think that's really good advice to think about when you're attending your first session. I know there's obviously end goals we all have in mind, but if you go in there to be genuine, you'll probably get some good success. And I asked her how a bookkeeper can make the most of attending their local group. And Jen said to show up regularly. BNI in particular is a weekly commitment, so I'm sure many of different networking groups and things may have commitments like that. So be aware of those. It might seem like a lot, some of these, but it's probably what's needed to gain trust with those people there and to build those relationships. And make sure while you're there that you do engage with the group. I know for a lot of us, this can be, speaking for myself, outside of our comfort zone, but we just have to, at this stage, get uncomfortable being in that uncomfortable stage, I guess, and think about how else you can contribute there as well. Because you guys have great knowledge, you've got your own specialty. I think BNI relies on just having one or maybe two bookkeepers from that area. So you are the expert, you know more than everyone in that room on that topic. Just remember that. And just some general thoughts. Jen shared as well that she said BNI does bring in a lot for her, but the connections she's made have been lifelong, and every second of effort has been worth it. You just need the right attitude. So go with a giving or helpful attitude. This is also a really good attitude to tie into the next stage, which is about partnerships. With part of my role, I do a bit of this at Bizink as well, and it's really useful to think of that same attitude of giving. How can you help the partner? How can you give more to them? So we'll talk about partnerships now, which is a really easy way to, maybe not easy, but it's a quick way to gain an audience quite quickly. So just by leveraging someone else's audience that's already there. So think about your ideal clients and who's currently working with them, who's already got a client base with them, who also specializes in cafes or medical practices or whatever. So it might be an accountant. We're going to talk about that in a second. It might be like you specialize in trades businesses, and there might be a trade store or something. Like, it doesn't have to be the obvious sort of professional networks and things too. So just think about what events there are, what conferences, trade shows, all those sorts of things that you might be able to attend. On screen here, I've got some partnerships templates. The idea here is to reach out to another professional and, maybe a lawyer. You send emails to each other to notify your audience of the other person and their services, just as like a helpful sort of thing. This might develop into more. It might develop into co-marketing, like you put on a lunch and learn for their clients or something like that. But it's a really good place to start. So we'll be sharing these resources after as well. But that's a lot of what we do at Bizink, is create useful templates like this that you can tweak. You can make them your own. You can use them or not use them, but they help you get started with a lot of these things. The last section is about outreach. And this just really means about finding others and reaching out to them directly. So probably a stark comparison to like someone Googling and finding you, finding your website. This is your kind of guiding everything here. So I know that a small percentage of people will do this. Some people are happy where they're at. Some people find this quite daunting, but the approach I'm suggesting here is not to cold call everyone. I would take it slow, take the time to research who you want to work with, and work out, who the right person in the business is to contact and what the right time is and what the right hook is for them. That takes time. Maybe you'll never know if you never really nail that, but if you figure out what their needs are, that'll be a really good place to start. I wouldn't stress too much about developing like a script or a pitch, but these sorts of things do start to come together a bit better once you do have a niche. So on screen here, I've got, I'm talking about ABC Medical as the example, so once you do know who you're going after, these things will start to fall into place, like I said earlier. So we'll send you some of our outbound templates to give you more details on this. I did also develop one that is like a bookkeeper reaching out to an accountant as well. So sorry, I don't think I didn't put this on screen here, but I'll send it to you as well if you're interested. Also really interested to see how other people have gone with, in that situation, bookkeepers reaching out to accountants to start hopefully a longer term referral relationship there too. So we will send you some more resources there shortly. So that wraps up the session 2 of the summit today. I've just got a special offer for those of you who don't currently have a website for your bookkeeping business. So on screen here is, if you sign up for a website before the 16th of December, so I think it gives you a month, you'll get $500 off the upfront fee of the website, and you can get the website live in February 2023. Terms and conditions attached. Obviously, we've got Christmas to deal with, and if you give us your details on time and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we've got a nice special offer here. I'd suggest booking a demo as the first step if you're interested in just chatting about your website and seeing if Bizink can help you build one. And just mention Summit to me at the demo, and we'll make sure you get that coupon code for the special offer as well. So I'll just hang around for a minute or two. If anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A or the chat panel. I have, like I said, lots more resources on most of the bits I've breezed through today. So I'm more than happy to share those with you. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next session, which is with, Diane, correct me if I'm wrong, Sharon Francisco of the Entrepreneurial Bookkeeper, talking about social media. So come join us there in another about 20 odd minutes. We'll kick off session 3 of the summit. But thanks everyone for joining me today and for your attendance at the summit. I know it's a long day, but a lot of resources to be shared as well. So don't stress if you miss anything today. We'll share those recordings and resources, and you can always book a meeting and we can chat in a bit more detail if you have any of these questions. Thanks everyone. I will wrap it up there. Thank you for your time.